Hey, this is Chris, and in today's video I'd like to cover just 4 metrics that I think every SaaS marketer has to be intimately familiar with in order to drive an optimized SaaS funnel. The first metric we'll look at is churn. Churn will wreak havoc on your other metrics and wreak havoc on the ability of your SaaS business to grow. Growing a SaaS business with low churn will allow you to achieve that almost linear or hockey stick growth that you're looking for, as depicted here by the green line. Contrast that to companies struggling with high churn, as depicted here by the blue line. You are reaching a maximum ARR or a ceiling that's severely hurting the ability of your SaaS company to grow. High churn can be an indicator of poor product fit or market fit, or maybe not keeping pace with your competition, and as a marketer it is your role to address the root cause of any churn that might be occurring. Churn will also directly affect your LTV or lifetime value, which is a metric we will discuss here shortly. The second metric we want to look at is your customer acquisition cost, or CAC, C-A-C. CAC is telling you how much does it cost to acquire a new customer. Effectively, you take your entire marketing spend and your entire sales spend and you divide that by the number of customers for that same period. That gives you, on a per customer level, how much does it cost to acquire a customer. So what causes the CAC to rise or fall? Downward pressure on your CAC, which is a good thing, a lowering cost of acquisition per customer, happens when you have a low-touch sales cycle. This can happen because of good organic placements, good channel sales, the infamous viral marketing campaign. All of that's going to lower your CAC because your marketing spend is reduced. Upward pressure on your CAC happens when you do expensive marketing campaigns or add salespeople or outbound sales, increasing the sales side of this equation.
That is expensive stuff.
The third metric we want to look at is your customer lifetime value, or LTV. LTV measures how long your customers are going to keep paying for your services and what revenue is associated with each of those customers. It's calculated by taking your average revenue per customer or user, multiplied by your gross margins, and dividing it by your churn rate. So you can see here how your churn rate has a direct impact on your LTV. Now this formula is slightly simplified in that it's not factoring in nonlinear churn, but it suffices for this example. LTV can be critical to understand the overall health of your business, and more importantly, from a marketing perspective, ensuring that your products are priced correctly. So armed with knowledge of LTV and CAC, the question now becomes, how do we use them?
It's how we use them that counts.
And that takes us to our fourth metric, which is the LTV to CAC ratio. A well-run SaaS company is looking for an LTV to CAC ratio of at least 3:1. And let's explain why this is the case. Starting with an extreme example, if your lifetime value, that is the total revenue you expect to receive from a customer, is less than the cost of acquiring a customer, clearly that is a losing proposition. And yes, there are some well-known SaaS models that operate on a losing proposition from the get-go just to get a land grab and acquire customers. Ultimately, your LTV has to exceed your customer acquisition cost. It's basic math. If your LTV and your CAC is at a 1:1 ratio, i.e. it's costing you exactly as much as what you get from a customer over their lifetime, at least you break even. But this is not a good thing because your customer acquisition cost is only factoring in your marketing and your sales spend. There's a lot more expenses associated with your company, least of which is product development. So an LTV and CAC ratio of 1:1 isn't a great thing either.
Not great.
A 1:1 ratio is not entirely bad because at least you've proven the ability to attract customers and reach almost a break-even point. Many times now you can simply scale your marketing efforts to increase that ratio. Now where you really want to be is having a LTV to CAC ratio of 3:1. This is a number that the industry has settled on as indicative of a successful or growing SaaS company. Now note that 3:1 LTV to CAC is really the bare minimum.
Bare minimum, but you did it.
Some really successful SaaS companies, you'll see an LTV to CAC ratio of 11:1 or higher. So let's summarize the metrics that you as a SaaS marketer will use. You want an LTV to CAC ratio of 3:1 or higher. You want a customer acquisition cost payback within 12 months. That is, You want to recover the cost of acquiring customer in 12 months or less. Finally, you want to keep churn to a minimum, as churn directly affects your lifetime value and will wreak havoc on the growth of your SaaS business. I should note that in most SaaS environments, your CFO will be able to provide you these metrics. As a marketer, it's not your job to necessarily calculate these, but you want to use these as guidance as you go through your entire SaaS funnel, and we'll be using these metrics as we explore that SaaS marketing funnel in subsequent videos. If you want more details on how to use these metrics or how to calculate these metrics, please grab a copy of my free guide over at unconventionalcmo.com. Until next time, be unconventional.